Hello and welcome to this week's episode of GIANT's Healthy Innovators Live TV. My name is Barry Shrier and I'm your host. I'm the founder of GIANT Health. GIANT is an acronym which stands for Global Innovation and New Technology. And we're a global community of nearly 200,000 people, everybody around the world whose business is healthcare, technology, and innovation. Every week in these episodes of Healthy Innovators TV, we love to bring to you some of the most interesting, leading, dynamic people that are doing forefront innovation in healthcare, technology, and accelerating the delivery of healthcare services at lower cost. Our vision is to improve the health and the well-being of people around the world by supporting entrepreneurs and encouraging the acceleration of new technology innovation and adoption of that. So once again, every week, we love to bring to you some of the leaders in these fields. So today we have Morgan and Abel. Hello, guys. How are you guys doing today?
Good. And yourselves?
Yeah, doing very well. Thank you. We'd love to talk about some of the biggest issues in healthcare and some of the challenges that we have in society and how we're addressing those with great innovations. So Morgan, to begin with, tell us a little bit about that. What's an example of a big healthcare theme or big challenge to society? And tell us a little bit about what you guys and your business are doing to address that.
Well, I think one of the biggest issues that's felt just not in the US, but globally, is probably the shortage of caregivers in the world. We see a lot of family members and friends stepping up to help loved ones with chronic health management, various issues that they may be facing. And these individuals are also trying to carry on lives of their own. It can be very overwhelming and very stressful. So a lot of our products and the services are geared towards being able to address that properly, being able to supplement caregivers. And that can go for people that do have that as a professional job, as well as those who are stepping up for a family member. So like being able to automate medication reminders, being able to automate vitals reminders, just making these daily items a little bit easier. So it's one less thing that you have to have kind of knocking around in your brain.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, this issue is huge. And obviously with the pandemic, I think the challenges are growing even more. So thank you for the introduction and really interesting. Abel, tell us a little bit more about it, please. What's the name of the business and what's an example of some of your products and services?
Sure. It's Electronic Caregiver. We're based out of Las Cruces, New Mexico. We primarily focus on servicing the aging population. We do offer SaaS as a service and a platform as a service. And some of the items that we do currently carry would be smart personal emergency response systems. And some of the new items that we have would be ADDI 2.0.
Fabulous. What are examples of your customers and how do they engage with you guys?
Sure. There's different organizations that we pair up with, healthcare organizations. It could be from local pharmacists, hospitals, hospice. We have a different variety of customers that we partner with. In addition, we also service some of the end users. So we do have actually a private side to our company.
Oh, okay. And how long have you guys been going for?
So we started back in 2013, give or take. So we've been going for about 10 years.
Nice. Oh, excellent. Ancient in the world of innovation and startups. So Morgan, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get to where you are today and what's your background, please?
So my background had a lot to do with research. I actually have both of my degrees are related to psychology, with my master's being in experimental psychology. So not the counseling stuff as much as research and being able to learn how to construct studies and follow through with that. So a lot of my interest professionally has kind of come in with being able to make some type of a tangible difference. I find theoretical things very interesting, but when it comes to what I get passionate about, it's things that can be applied. So, so I ended up here because we do have a very really great hold with being able to create these tangible differences, with being able to look for services that are actually filling a need. And I find that very rewarding to work in a field that prioritizes that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's interesting. And congratulations on what you guys are developing and what you've accomplished already. So, Abel, give us an example so our listeners from around the world can really understand what you guys do and how your customers engage with us. Do you want to give like a case study or just an example of a situation out there with a patient or a provider and what they're doing in their collaborations with you guys?
Sure. Just recently, with the pandemic, like most of us around the world, we were hurting a bit across the country for hospital beds. So the company decided to partner up with our local hospitals in the area, and we did COVID to home. So we were able to provide our hardware with our software with the brains behind it. And what it did, it freed up the hospital bed. So what it did, if you were a patient with mild symptoms, you would actually be discharged home with our system or to one of the local hotels, and that would free up beds back in the hospital. So it made a big difference. We never saw any shortage of bed where we had to turn people away because we didn't have any beds.
Wow. Oh, excellent. That's very impressive. What would your customer was the hospital or the insurer or
the hospital itself?
Okay. What would they have done previously without your platform or without the services that they could gain from you guys?
Sure. Most of the time, what we noticed, some of the neighboring hospitals here, like in El Paso, they would turn away patients. Sometimes, yes, or they would actually have to send them outside to different tents that they popped up. And again, it was uncomfortable. You weren't allowed to have anybody next to you. So it made it a harder scenario for the end user. I, for example, my father-in-law, who actually went through COVID, he was there for 3 months and none of us could visit him while he was there. So
oh my gosh,
morale decreased significantly, which made his time to recuperate a lot longer than expected.
Of course. Yeah. No, that's interesting. I mean, obviously we have this huge challenge, don't we? Not only just in terms of healthcare and the challenge of growing demand on healthcare around the world with basic changes in society like aging and new chronic diseases and so forth. But then you have the layer of the pandemic on top of that, which obviously adds even more challenge. So you guys have a new launch, is that correct? What is this new launch that you guys have been talking about, ADDI 2.0? Could you explain that to us and help our listeners to understand what that's about?
Sure. ADDI 2.0 is a platform as a service. ADDI is a highly intelligent, engaging, and scalable platform that offers value-based care. So earlier, Morgan was talking about seamless vitals monitoring, thresholds, care plan, which would include the mitigation. So some of the items that it's encompassed on here, and it's built from microservices, so it adds on and it keeps on growing.
So basically, it's very flexible to any type of organization there. Like it can be scalable to like these bigger hospital or HCOs, healthcare organizations, or it can be down to just a very small individual patient type of scaling there.
Fabulous. Oh, that's very impressive. And how will that build on what you guys have accomplished already? For example, is this a completely new product offering, or is this, if you will, what do you want to call it, a new iteration of what you're doing already?
It's a new iteration of what we're doing already, but we did it to a way that it can scale and it works to a global class, you can say. Because again, we're trying to expand not just here in the US, also overseas. With some of the partnerships that we have going on, this is something that we must have to be able to help our aging population. Because it's not only here in the US that we see it, it's across the board anywhere.
Absolutely.
You mentioned the international ambitions and so forth. Are you guys already doing business outside of the US, or is this an ambition of yours and you're looking for new partners?
So we have had a few opportunities outside of the US thus far. I'm sure that we're not opposed to more in the future, of course. But one of the earlier examples we had, particularly during the earlier part of the pandemic, we worked with an Austrian soccer league with one of our applications, WallPass, which is basically just a form of contact tracing. And so that was enacted at those leagues to be able to allow those players to go back to practice in a healthy, safe way.
Yes.
One of our initial examples, and then we continue to do some research with some of the universities there in the EU about expanding further.
Excellent. So we have a lot of people in our audience from both the UK, continental Europe, as well as obviously North America and Asia. What are the types of customers or partners that you're looking for right now? If you can give us a little more information, I'm sure this might be specifically of interest to a bunch of our listeners.
So our partners range so I guess we can talk about who we currently have. We started with podiatrists, local physicians, but as our organization grew, we saw the opportunity with health organizations. And these are primarily the organizations that take care of the aging group as is currently. So those are the biggest partners that we have that serve. In addition to that, it would be, I'm trying to remember the technical name for it, but wow. Sorry.
You mentioned that you guys have a collaboration. Did you say with did I hear you correctly, with an Austrian sports team? Is that right?
Yes, soccer.
Yeah, how did that come about? How did they discover you, or how did you find them?
So I believe it was through Dr. Austrian from the WHO, the World Health Organization, who approached us. And from there, they provided, hey, we have a team that might want to work with you. And so they got us in contact. We started going back and forth, and we were discussing the methods to safely get their players back into the game. Because this was at the initial where we had no idea what COVID really was and how long it took.
Exactly.
And it was just spreading like wildfire. So they wanted a way to be able to go back and actually continue to play, but safe.
Yes, yes. Well, no, that's extremely interesting. And what a great case study, obviously, and a good opportunity, I guess, for developing that theme for your international expansion ambitions. It's very cool. Tell us more about the UX aspects of this. Morgan, we'd love to hear about, not only your day-to-day work, but the challenges that you're facing. And, there's an awful lot of, what do you want to call it? Skepticism sometimes about technology and whether or not there's a problem out there, or if it's technology looking for a problem. And that's one theme I'd love to hear your views on. Another, of course, is just the UX challenges in general. Are we seeing changes in society over the years where people are becoming more familiar with interfaces, and the UX problems of a decade ago are no longer there? Or what type of things are you experiencing?
Well, with a lot of the current UX research we're doing, we've been working a lot going into some local senior living facilities to get feedback on one of our upcoming products, Addison. And so that's a specific product. I think it speaks very well to some of the aspects your question brought up. With seniors and older folks, we do tend to see a lot more tech hesitancy, a lot more uncertainty there. And I don't want to say that that's completely unfounded, because it can complicate life. It can make things harder, but it can also do a lot of really great things. And as we've been going into these facilities, and we take the product in, we'll be showing different aspects of it, getting feedback to see how we can continue to improve. And a lot of times we'll have many people who came in somewhat skeptical of why we were there and what we were doing. And by the time that they go through the 45 minutes or so with us of talking back and forth, of us answering their questions about what our goal is, about where we're trying to help both caregivers of any type, really, as well as the patient, they see a great deal of value with it. And a lot of a lot of them see like, I could see this being helpful for myself, or we'll bring up a neighbor where they see that they're really struggling, where they might have, we'll have some people come in and talk about the person that has pill boxes just scattered all over their counter. And, like these are common problems. And anything that we can do to solve those, I think, is just going to aid in people's care and being a little bit better at being able to comply and adhere to the care plans they really need.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I do think there's still certainly some UX problems that probably have not disappeared over the course of the last 10 years or so. But I also think that as this generation and some of the other generations continue to get older, We will see less tech hesitancy. We will see more understanding of some of the value that can be brought in. And that's something that older generations are already perfectly capable of seeing.
Yeah, Morgan, thank you very much. It's a really good point. And this theme of tech hesitancy, does that also overlap with the theme of inclusion? Are you finding, are there different, what do you want to call it, demographic categories or stratifications in society where maybe some groups are more tech oriented or others, or some people can't afford or don't necessarily have access to the tech that you guys, that makes part of your own proposition? Or is that not necessarily an issue for you guys?
I don't know. I don't really see any specific groupings, I guess I would say, in relation to these attitudes. It can be quite variable from the groups that we've seen. I think it really depends on the person for some of this too, and maybe some of the experiences they've had up to that point. I think specifically related to tech hesitancy, from what I've seen going into the facilities, I would say that experience and exposure to those technologies is probably one of the biggest factors about their comfort.
Yes.
There are some people that come into the sessions and over the course of talking, we'll find out that they have some type of technical background, a type of research background, and they really don't have any hesitance about the technology. They want to learn more. They want to dig deeper. For people who, say like they can even operate a phone, that can be a lot more variable. There are some people who are very open to learning, very open to exploring some different things, and there are others that don't quite share that view.
No, interesting to hear your experiences there. So, Abel, your role is on the technical side, is that right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Yeah. How do you interface with the work that Morgan's doing? How do you guys combine the, if you will, what do you want to call it, the user-faced UX requirements with the development of your technology platforms and services?
So we actually take that feedback, especially if it's consistent across the board that we get it multiple times. Then we actually build it into our Scrum. We do it, add it to our backlog and see where it fits so we can start designing the UI or the user interface. Most of our stuff that we do is in Node.js and React. And so that's on the technical side. That's to make it a lot more responsive in regards to it. Same thing with Addison. Addison is built on a gaming platform. So we do the same type of changes in regards to it.
Oh, okay. Tell us more about Addison. We'd love to hear about that.
Sure. Addison, we talked about ADDI 2.0. That's the brain behind everything that we do with our operation. You can call it, that's the intelligence. Addison is your front facing. She's the face who you're going to be able to conversate, talk to. She's going to be the buddy. I don't know if you've seen pictures of her, but she's approachable. We want her to be like your Google, your Alexa, that right now it's just a device, but you have a face to talk to. Just like you and I are talking over video right now, she'll be communicate with you and be like, oh, hey, we noticed that you didn't take your medication today. Would you like to go ahead and take it? And she's going to be interacting with you on a daily basis. So when I presented this to my dad's Hispanic, he's typical. He's like, what's that? And then he's all like, oh, this is awesome. And he's 67, and usually he's one of those, well, I didn't want to use a cell phone. And well, I started traveling more. Our family separated because we're in different parts of the country as we actually got older. And he needed a way to communicate. And so now that it's ADDI and the future where it's going to, it just makes it a lot funner for him to interact. It keeps him going better. So it gives him a reason to smile and be like, oh, she said a funny joke today. I've never heard that before. So.
I think we have a video of some of the capabilities too that we'd sent along as well.
Meet Addison. She may look like a character in a sci-fi movie, but the virtual caregiver provides real-world help to those in need.
Hi, Tony. You wanted me to remind you when it's time to take your medications. Do you want to take them? Say yes, snooze, or no.
Addison transforms a home for the first time into a smart health home. From chronic disease management to rehabilitation, behavioral health, overcoming isolation, depression, there's so many things she can do.
Addison would be set up throughout a person's home with a series of touchscreen monitors and some visual sensors throughout the home so they can interact with this virtual 3D avatar like she's a real person.
Electronic Caregiver, a health and safety monitoring company, has spent more than a decade and millions of dollars developing Addison.
So when I look into the future about what Addison is going to become, I believe Addison is going to disrupt and transform the entire virtual assistant industry worldwide.
What's your favorite color? I like pink too. Great choice. To get the best reading, please position yourself sitting upright, with your feet on the floor.
Addison is designed to provide affordable, comprehensive health monitoring and wellness support at home because the vast majority of people want to stay in their own homes as they age. Addison is designed to fill in the gaps when caregivers are not in a person's home. She appears in interactive environments that develop over time and target a person's needs. There is a privacy button, and when a person is not engaging with Addison,
she can be there reading a book or taking part in one of her hobbies, playing some music.
Addison, I'm not feeling well. Can you let my mom know?
Okay, Chloe. I will let your mom know.
but it is the personal interaction between a client and the virtual caregiver that makes the relationship real.
Tomorrow's Addison will be turning on your coffee pot, reminding you the pollen count's high and to take your inhaler and what time you have your first appointment at work. But at the same time, she'll be working with a spouse on prenatal care upstairs while coaching a 7th grader who's about to catch the school bus on how to diffuse a situation at school where they're getting bullied. Addison is that solution. It is that technology. It is those capabilities. And she's here today.
Abel, that's a good video. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. Morgan, tell us a little bit about that again, a little summary of some of the main points that were in that video.
Of course. So with this initial offering of Addison, we're really focusing on getting a solid foundation of care established as we start to build in the future. So that will look like medication management initially with reminders that can be customized, of course, to anybody's schedule or their needs. We also have vitals ingestion. So being able to take, I believe, 6 different vital signs with apps and be able to keep track of those results. So you can see the history of that over time and be able to just have a better understanding of your information, especially if you aren't used to being able to track that or maybe have an inconsistent way of tracking that. Of course, we offer emergency response through that, as well as some calling to emergency contacts and a few different medical services too.
Excellent. Quite a comprehensive package. It's nice about all these features, obviously. Do you guys plan to be developing a lot more features, or are you going to keep it narrow and try and grow out from where you are?
I think that we'd like to offer more features and keep it somewhat customizable to what individuals may need, kind of similar to ADDI, where you can take that structure and kind of make what you want of it. I think we would like to do similar, but with the front end of Addison, where depending on the different patient, they can go in and be able to have right what they need and just what they need right at their fingertips. And a different person could have exactly what they need as well, and it might be a little bit different. So we plan to continue iterating.
Yes, that customization is really important, isn't it? And I think that's a big theme in the developments of new technologies, kind of overlapping with the personalized medicine elements of digital therapies and so forth. So no, really good to hear about that. So tell us about the experience you guys have had as a business throughout the pandemic. How were things going, for example, in 2019? What happened? Has that had an impact on your strategy or the direction that your business is going? We'd love to hear more about that.
Sure. So during the pandemic, we planned for the worst. Like any company, we didn't know how the time frame that this was going to take, if we were going to be closed indefinitely.
Yes.
We were planning ahead. But while we were planning and making reductions of costs on our end, we also started seeing more business because of the needs that we have, because of how agile we are. the call to arms in regards to the teams in Europe and here locally showed the world and our partners that we're very agile. Like the needs for the world is what actually dictated how we were pivoting. And because we were a very agile company, we were able to do so in a couple of weeks. So like, we need this and we should be able to plan it out. And so we would have a strategy in place to be able to pivot. And thanks to the teams that we have, not just internally with our departments, but also every single floor, like our marketing department, our sales department, everybody was on the same page that we knew that we needed to actually come together to be able to actually conquer that one goal that we had in mind.
Wow. And on a practical basis, did you guys have an office and did you all have to disperse and work remotely? And were there technical issues? Were all the servers in the office, but people weren't going into the office? And what kind of things happened from your business on a practical basis?
So on a practical basis, because we are based out of New Mexico, our governor was a little bit stricter with us. At one point, they would allow us to be in-house, where we had to be 6 feet apart, and there was only a certain capacity based on the max capacity for the building. And to make it easier, we went home instead. It was easier for us to work from home because most of the stuff that we do, obviously, as developers and UX, it's on a laptop. And because we are cloud-based and we're cloud agnostic, it allowed us to work from anywhere. We didn't have to be tied to the servers here.
Sure. Big challenges, nevertheless. And how will that impact you guys going forward? Have you said, right, you know, due to the pandemic, we are now a different business and we are pursuing new products or different direction permanently because of the pandemic? Or are you hoping that, I don't know, the pandemic will go away and you'll go back to doing more of what you were doing in 2019?
No, actually, I think that because of the pandemic, it showed the world, not just us as a company, showed the world the need for innovative technology in the healthcare.
Absolutely.
Whenever you saw the amount of troubles or the heartaches that we had as a country or as a world, it actually brought more value to being able to do remote patient monitoring. And back then, you didn't really hear about the term. Now it's a big term. Now it's being reimbursed by insurances and private pay. And so it's a big deal. And I don't think it's going to go away because it was an eye-opener.
Yeah, I would say that the needs that we were addressing, you know, those have been needs throughout all of this time, you know, before the pandemic and everything. It's just that the pandemic really showed the value of it. Exactly.
That's interesting. Yeah, Morgan, tell us a little bit more about that. You said the need has been there all along, but the pandemic brought the need to the forefront? How did that happen? Or what? Tell us more about that. Very interesting.
I think that it just exacerbated the issues that were already there. Like we mentioned the caregiver crisis earlier on. I think that just made everything even worse in that aspect too, with people potentially losing jobs during that time, not having the money to be able to necessarily afford help that they may have been able to in the past. Yeah, various different items, you know, with the also with existing health issues. You know, many people that had existing health issues, you know, were put at an even higher risk during these last year and a half. You know, those individuals also need to feel safe and comfortable. And, you know, for them, that may look like being able to be safe at home with remote patient monitoring to track their health. So that person may have already needed that help before, but that need just was magnified over this last year.
That's a very good point. In terms of your business model, Abel, you made reference a minute ago to, you know, the insurance companies and reimbursement. Do you find that is fairly straightforward, or are the complexities of the reimbursement programs and different players a challenge for you guys?
Well, so it can be a challenge depending on the state. All of our software or the SaaS that we offer is HIPAA compliant, and we do meet all the regulations overseas. And because of that, and every single country has their own guidelines. So it is a little bit of a difficulty at first to get started because you jump through hoops and you need signatures, you need to be able to provide insurances.
Yes.
It's a whole ordeal, but thankfully, like, our team deals with the technical side and the customer facing. We have a specialized team internally that handles all of that for us. But once that's in place, it makes it easier for us to actually create better partnerships with other organizations outside of our company. And so once we do that, then we're able to serve hundreds, if not thousands, of consumers that will benefit from a program like ours.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. Well, this is so interesting. I'd love to chat with you guys for about another 2 hours to hear more about everything that you're doing, but we don't have that much time. So let's take some steps to wrap up over the next few minutes, if that's okay with you guys. So tell us about your vision for the future, Morgan, to begin with, and then obviously Abel, love to hear your views as well. Where are the business going? Where do you see yourselves, say, 5 years from now?
Well, I think the biggest focus in my eyes going forward is Addison. She really will be the face of the company as we get closer to having that first version out.
Yes.
And so for me, I think there's a lot of excitement about getting the last of that of Addison finished up and being able to have that go out to the market. And then from there, I'm just very eager to receive as much feedback as we can and continue improvements, work on some of those features, and really let the market tell us where should we be putting the energy in Addison once we have that foundation established. Where's the next step for us? For me, I don't 100% know what that next step will be until we get that user feedback. And so I'm very excited to hear what it will be. I trust that we will be agile and continue to move forward in the best way for the customers we serve.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's crucial to hear you talking about the user feedback, to be putting the customer in the center of your universe. This theme of patient-centered medicine, lots of people say, well, what do you mean patient-centered medicine? Of course, all service of provision of healthcare should be patient-centered. And of course it should, but it so often isn't. So it's very impressive and gratifying to hear you guys, how your world is revolving around the needs of your users with all of that attention. So that's very cool. Likewise, Abel, tell us, from your perspective in terms of the technology, the platform, the opportunities in front of you, where do you see yourselves going over the next 5 years?
Sure. The main focus will continue to be Addison. Addison has been a dream of our CEO for years. When we first started, we were a small corporation with 8 individuals, and I'm a mechanical engineer, so I'm not a software at heart. And he comes to me and it's like, I have a dream. And he started talking about Addison. We're like, we can do it, but it is
no way.
Yeah. And so we're happy that we have her coming to market here soon. And what we're trying to do is fulfill the dream. He has a wish list that we as a team are working together to complete. And I believe that wish list that he has actually aligns with what the market is currently needing today. That's the reason why it was so easy for us to pivot when we needed to pivot with COVID.
Superb. Very, very exciting. And how good to have you guys on today's episode. Really appreciate your time and so very interesting. Let's summarize now. We do have a lot of listeners working across the entire spectrum of healthcare, from the largest global corporates to the smallest startups, lots of investors around the world, obviously lots of clinicians and hospital managers, and of course, thousands of people like yourselves developing new technology innovations. Do you have any particular ask to them? Are you looking for investors? Are you looking to recruit? Would you like to sign up some international pharma company partners? What are examples of the types of people you're wanting to reach out to? And surely a lot of our listeners might fall into those categories, and we can put you all together.
So I think our company is always looking for new opportunities, either if it's in a form of investments or if it's partners that we can actually share the technology with. Because us having a technology is great, but we need to make sure that we're able to integrate with other care providers out there.
Right.
We're trying to expand so that way we meet the needs of every individual. We have focus that we currently have for your main, let's put it this way, your main vitals or that we're trying to do. But there's always a niche, and that niche, we have APIs that we're willing to share if they're willing to integrate. And make sure that we can create partnerships that will benefit in the long run in regards to the consumers, because our end goal is the well-being of a consumer. If we can actually serve them and efficiently, then it would be in the best benefit for us.
Yes, yeah. Perfect. Hey, well, look, this has been so interesting. Thank you, Morgan, and thank you, Abel. What a pleasure to have you guys on. And so at the bottom of this video, we'll have links to your company, of course, and we're very keen to keep in touch with you. We'd love to have you on an episode sometime in the future to hear more about your progress and to see how things are going with your platform and your success both in the U.S. and internationally. So thank you once again. Really, really fascinating to hear about your work and very impressive. So congratulations on all you guys have accomplished.
Thank you so much, Barry. It was a pleasure pleasure joining you today.
Yes, definitely. Look forward to any future times too.
Good stuff. Well, we certainly hope you guys can join us at our big international event, of course, coming up on the 30th of November, 1st of December. That's the GIANT Health event. According to the Financial Times newspaper, that's Europe's largest, most valuable annual healthcare tech event. So to all of our listeners around the world, thank you very much for joining us. We'd like to thank our sponsors, our knowledge partner, McKinsey, our other sponsors like, for example, Barclays Bank and Vodafone Business, and all the other thousands of companies and investors and people working in the forefront of healthcare and tech and innovation who've been following us and supporting our international expansion. We invite everybody to go to our website, www.giant.health, learn more about our upcoming event. Again, the GIANT Health event on the 30th of November and 1st of December. It's both a real-world face-to-face international conference as well as a virtual event. So all of you from around the world can participate remotely if that's of interest. And also, we hope that you like these TV shows. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and like these shows, and we'd love you to share them with everybody so we can grow our community and serve everybody more successfully. Once again, my name is Barry Shrier. Thank you to Morgan. Thank you to Abel from Electronic Caregiver. Great to have you guys on the episode today, and good luck with all of your important and very impressive work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.